Hello and welcome back to this week's video. In this week's video we are getting a brand new fish tank. I know you can't see it right now because it is blurred, so stick all the way to the end of the video to find out what we're putting into this tank, what we're doing with it, and how we built this stand and all sorts. And we've got my other 280 litre fish tank here, and I am getting into the fish tanks quite a lot lately. I'm loving it, so let's get straight into the video. Right, so I got the dimensions off my mate and I'm here right now and I'm going to build a fish tank stand. If you want to see how to do this, let me know in the comments down below and I'll film a full video on it. But for now, I'm just going to do a quick time lapse of me making this fish tank stand. Never done this before, so let's see how this comes out. So what I am currently doing here, I am measuring up a bit of wood and I need two 2-foot long pieces of wood and two 1-foot pieces of wood. And then I need to do that all again as well. So what I'm doing here, I'm making the base. So I'm making it perfectly 2-foot and then I'm going to make two 1-foot ones as well. So the base will sit on the floor, then I'll make the same one that will go and that will hold the fish tank. It will make a lot more sense when you see it, but I know the pieces of wood look a bit roughed up because these are all leftover pieces of wood from my garden, but I can promise you now the end result will look a lot better and it will be definitely worth it, so stick around to see what the end result is. So this is what I meant. So I've got the 2-foot piece longs and then the bottom adds up to 1 foot. So the piece in the middle isn't 1 foot long, but it will add up to 1 foot with the other pieces of wood next to it, if you know what I mean. So I'm drilling this together now and it'll be nice and solid when it's done. Right, so the first one is built and that's going to be the base of the tank. So this is 2 foot by 1 foot there. And I just need to do one more of these and then we can go on and do the legs. So this looks good and it is rock solid. It's mint. And I've only used like wood that I've got in my garden that my dad has a load of spare of, so if the wood looks a bit battered, it will be fine. It'll be more than enough. This tank only weighs 60 kilo full of water, so it's going to be fine. I might give the wood a bit of a sand afterwards, maybe a paint or a stain, so we'll see how it goes. And this is part one, and we'll get the other one done now. So as I just said, all I'm doing here is replicating what I just did. And then I'm just experimenting there with different legs because I struggled to find this same wood because, as I said, I was trying to save money on this, so I was just finding pieces of wood from on the garden, so I had limited material, so we ended up using a different type of wood for the legs, but it ended up looking a lot better than I thought because I ended up covering it with decking boards anyway. So this one is basically done now. And these are the legs that we decided on because we had a load of this type of wood, basically just old scaffold boards lying about, and I think we did like 28 inches high, I think it was. So we basically measured up so it would be the exact same height as my other fish tank because that will look nice and it would go together seamlessly, hopefully. But you can see us just drilling it together now. It was a very struggle because we tried to drill it from the inside, so but there wasn't enough room to fit the drilling, so we ended up drilling it from the outside. So it wasn't too sturdy at this point. So we drilled on the top bit as well, and so far this was all very unsturdy and wobbly. But then we added the decking boards on. I didn't film it, but as you can see here, we're wiping down the decking boards, and it looks so much better when we added them decking boards on, and it really made it strengthen together. I also didn't speak in this clip here, but this is me putting the stand right next to the other fish tank, so as you can see it lines up perfect height. But sorry for the camera angle, I do not know why I started filming with my camera this wonky, but yes, so we got the stand in place and it was quite heavy. It was a lot heavier than I was expecting, but it doesn't matter as long as it's sturdy and holds up the tank with water, which I was very nervous about filling the tank with water, but I knew it would hold. And here I am blocking the camera angle putting on the fish tank, but yeah, it looks really cool and this is the end result now. Right, so there we go, we've got the brand new tank here that I just went to get off my mate, and I gave him the angelfish for it on that tank, so I traded him the angelfish for a fish tank. I think I did pretty good there, because I got the Oscars in that tank as you saw from last video, so I couldn't keep the angelfish in that tank because the Oscars, as you can see one there and there, they would bully the crap out of them fish. So I gave him the angelfish for this tank, and this tank's actually really good. I've got a filter, heater, air pump, light in it, proper good. And we built the stand. It's very sturdy, looks good. So let's fill it with water now. We'll chuck in a time lapse and we'll fill up the tank with some water on this tank.
and then that will be like just doing a water change on that tank, so then I'll fill that back up with fresh water. So let's do that now.
So here I forgot to film the time lapse from the beginning, but as you can see, I left the room to go cook some food, and I thought when I was in there I forgot about the tank. I came back and it was just overflowing, so that didn't go great.
Just a note to future self, don't leave the room when the tank's filling up.
So yeah, I got water absolutely everywhere and it didn't go too well. And if you watched last week's video, I put a couple guppies and 2 tetra out of my big 280 litre tank because I was putting my Oscars in there and that would have been a nice snack for the Oscars. So I put them in this little tub here and I just left it floating around in the 280 litre. So I thought I'm just going to sit them in this tank for now, so they have somewhere to stay just for a time being till I get like a little bedside table tank for these fish, and I'll get a couple shrimp for it maybe. So I'll film a little video on that when I do that. But for now, they've been put in this tank and they are doing fine in there. It's a very simple tank, a bit of moss in there for them, but it is fine. So they're doing really good in there now, eating well. So they won't be in there for too much longer anyway, because stick around to the end of the video to see what I'm going to do with this tank. But what I want to do with this tank, these fish can't stay in there, so stick around and see what amazing fish is getting into this tank.
So here you can see after the fish tank was built, it is looking very, very nice. And the stand is looking amazing. It's so sturdy. Like, obviously it's got a bit of a wobble if I push it, but it's sturdy. The only wobble is me actually lifting up the stand. It's not actually wobbling. But at the moment, we've got 4 guppies in here, a little golden tetra at the back, and a little neon tetra back there. Just a random assortment of fish that I used to have in this tank before I got my Oscars and my cichlids. So the big question is, what am I doing with this tank? I had 4 options what to do with this tank, and I was thinking for about a week what I could actually do, and I think I've came to a conclusion, but I'm still open-minded for it. So if you've got any suggestions, or if you want if you don't agree with my decision and you want another option out of these 4 that I'll give you now, let me know in the comments down below. So my 4 options were, I could do a heavily planted shrimp tank, so completely planted over the bottom, like a grass loop with some rocks, and then get some tetra and some shrimp. So that's one option. Option 2, do a turtle tank. Get some little like red sliders in here or something, and obviously eventually they'll have to go into a bigger tank, but I could do that. Option number 3, I could turn this into a saltwater tank. And currently it's freshwater, but I know how, and I could turn it into a saltwater tank in no time. So that is another option. I could get a few little corals, some Nemos maybe some starfish. So that's option 3. Option 4 is an axolotl tank, and that is what I'm swaying towards because I've seen axolotls for so long. Obviously this tank it's 2 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot, so this wouldn't be a permanent home for the axolotl. I'd have to eventually get a bigger one, but I'll get one as a baby anyway so I can see it grow up. But I've seen axolotls over the internet over the past 2 years, and they've gone absolutely nuts and viral, and I've always wanted one. I've always seen them look. Them fish are absolutely awesome. They just look cool and they act cool, and I really want to give one a try and get one. But let me know in the comments down below what you think I should do. Do you think I should get an axolotl tank, a heavily planted shrimp tank, saltwater tank, or a turtle tank? Let me know in the comments down below. But if we turn over to here, we have got my big 280 tank, and it is looking beautiful. And while we're here, let's do a quick feeding. They know when that lid's open, it is feeding time. I'm currently struggling to open this tap because my hand's full. But there we go. Let's get a tad bit of food in. They haven't ate today yet, so that'll probably do. And that'll get all the cichlids. I have to feed a bit extra with these fish because the Oscars absolutely eat loads of it, so the cichlids don't get much chance to eat. But this Oscar's still over there. He hasn't noticed the food yet, but he'll come over and have some. Let's try to get some film. There we go. 2 there. And he will already have his mouth nice and full. See? His mouth is full and he's struggling to open. So now they've had them pellets. A couple of the cichlids will go up and get the pellets. But then what I do as well, I chuck in a bit of micro pellets. And then I'll do a little pinch of micro pellets. So the red-tailed shark, the clown loach, and the smaller cichlids can still get some food. And the Oscars will still pick at this, but they can't get most of it. There's one of the other big cichlids that we've got. And then it'll go over to the filter and it'll get pushed down, and you'll see the rest of the cichlids starting to eat and go nuts, as you can see. But yeah, this tank's just really active and it looks super cool and it's really fun to feed. So that'll do for feeding and they'll be fine till tomorrow now. So this video has been a lot of time lapses and voiceovers, just because I was cracking on with the project and I was just trying to film it at the same time. But the main filming is going to come when I escape this tank with whatever I decide to do and when I get fish or turtles or axolotls for this tank. And if you want me to get any more tanks as well, I was even thinking maybe I could get like a little rack here and get a couple 2-foot aquariums and just see what I could do, because I haven't got loads of room. This is like the only wall I can do because this is in my bedroom. But I might see if I can scrape together a fish room eventually, because I'm enjoying fish tanks and I love doing them and the community on YouTube is really good. So I'd love to do more to do with these fish tanks. So let me know in the comments down below. Long term, I will have a 6-foot tank game from the end of this tank here. So we literally start there and go all the way to that brick wall. So this is a 4-foot tank, this is a 2-foot tank. So it would be a 6-foot tank and it would be perfect size for these Oscars and maybe some like arowana and stuff if I get like a 2-foot by 3-foot. A 6-foot by 3-foot by 2-foot. If I can get something like that, that'll be perfect. That'll probably be just over 1,000 litres. So that would be perfect if I wanted to do something like that. But it's just finding a tank like that. And they're also not very cheap. So make sure you like and subscribe down below. And let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. That'll be it for this week's video. I will catch you in next week's video. I'm posting every Sunday at 3 PM. So stay tuned for that. And I also post YouTube shorts every single day apart from Sundays at 3 PM also. So I'll catch you in next week's video. See you later.